If you've ever been onboarded at a new job and just felt like you were drowning in financial complexity,
Oh, yeah.
trying to understand how acronyms like DCPP and GRRSP affect your retirement, you are definitely not alone.
It's an alphabet soup, absolutely.
These plans are crucial, but the specifics of how they work, who funds them, and, who's on the hook if the market tanks, it's often completely opaque.
It really is. And you've handed us a compelling stack of sources on this, all about group retirement plans, their structure, their differences, and really their huge impact on your retirement income.
That's right. So our mission today is a deep dive into this material to decode the value of these plans and, most importantly, define that single greatest dividing line between them,
The risk.
the allocation of risk. Does the employer promise the outcome, or are you, the employee, ultimately responsible for your own investment performance?
That risk allocation is the critical difference, you're right. But before we get there, let's just talk about the basic value here. The immediate benefit is, of course, the money. Employer matching lets your savings grow way faster.
That's the part everyone gets, the free money. But the sources point to something I think a bit deeper, a behavioral benefit.
The psychological advantage of discipline. That's huge. These plans force you to save through payroll deduction.
The money never even hits your bank account.
Exactly. So that temptation to spend it is just gone. You save first. And by making it automatic, participation rates just skyrocket.
But it's not just forced savings. There are these other surprising, really high-value financial protections built in.
Indeed. What's fascinating here is that most of the savings in these formal plans, so think DCPPs, DPSPs, they enjoy creditor protection.
Wow, okay.
It's a massive benefit if something goes wrong in your personal finances, and it's a detail most people just ignore until they really, really need it.
You mentioned an exception, though.
Yes. The big one is the Group Tax-Free Savings Account, the TFSA. Those funds can be accessed by creditors.
Good to know.
And speaking of overlooked value, the sources also bring up a huge tax strategy. You can split your pension income with a spouse once you're 65 or older.
Which can seriously lower your household tax bill.
Substantially. It's a powerful incentive baked right into the whole structure.
That's a fascinating insight. It's not just about putting money in, it's about taking it out smartly, too.
Precisely.
Okay, so if these plans are so valuable, who's designing them? The sources are clear that the structure is heavily customized by the sponsor, the employer. They aren't cookie cutter.
Oh, they're absolutely not. The employer picks the plan type, the contribution levels, all of it based on their finances and, honestly, their goals for attracting and keeping top talent.
So a retirement plan is also a competitive weapon.
It really is.
So if a company realizes their plan is stale or maybe a competitor's is better, they bring in an agent to analyze it. It sounds like this agent is trying to find that sweet spot between cost and value.
That tension is key. The whole review boils down to that conflict. How much risk and cost can the company handle versus what kind of benefits do they need to offer to get employees to actually sign up and stick around?
And what are they looking at specifically? What are those key factors?
Well, the agent has to look at, are the investment options suitable? Are they compliant with regulators? How good is the website? But the two biggest things, the ones the sources keep coming back to, are the total cost to the sponsor and the member participation rate.
Because if it costs too much, it's not sustainable.
Right. And if nobody joins, it's failing as a retention tool.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Now, structurally, our sources mention two basic types: a single employer plan, which is what most people have, and a multi-employer pension plan.
The MEPP, the Multi-Employer Pension Plan, is an important one. It's common in unionized environments where you might work for several different employers over your career. Contributions there are often fixed by a collective bargaining agreement.
So that framework brings us to the Great Divide. The sources really hammer this home. The biggest dividing line isn't the structure, it's where the financial risk lands.
That's the shift we need to understand. We have the Defined Benefit Plan, the DBPP, which used to be the gold standard, versus the Defined Contribution Plan, the DCPP.
Let's start with the traditional one, the DBPP. What does it guarantee?
The DBPP pays you a known sum at retirement, a promise. It's calculated with a formula, usually based on your income and years of service. And, crucially, you have zero investment choices to make.
And zero investment risk.
Zero.
So because that outcome is guaranteed, the entire risk is on the sponsor.
Right.
If the plan's investments do poorly, the employer has to write a check.
Absolutely. The sponsor is fully responsible for funding that promise no matter what. If the plan is underfunded, they have to make up the deficit. The only risk to you is if the company goes bankrupt.
But the risk that has put the DBPP under so much pressure isn't just the market, it's longevity. People are living so much longer.
That increased lifespan just completely changes the math. Look at the Ontario Teachers' Pension Plan, a gold standard example. In 1990, they expected to pay a pensioner for about 25 years. They had 13 pensioners over the age of 100.
Okay, seems manageable.
Now fast forward just 30 years, to 2020. The expected payment period jumps from 25 years to 32 years, and the number of pensioners over 100, it's skyrocketed from 13 to 147.
Wow.
That kind of change makes the DBPP model incredibly difficult, if not unsustainable, for most employers today.
And that pressure is exactly why we've seen this huge shift to the DCPP, the Defined Contribution Plan.
Yeah.
So if the sponsor is off the hook for longevity risk, what does that mean for me, the employee?
It means you are now the captain of your own ship. In a DCPP, nothing is promised. Your retirement income is purely the result of your contributions, how long you contribute, and
Your investment choice.
your investment choices and their performance. Exactly.
So the sponsor is just on the hook for setting it up, making their contribution, usually a percentage of salary, and that's it. They don't worry about the market or how long you live.
Correct. And this brings us to an umbrella term for these kinds of plans: capital accumulation plans, or CAPs. Any plan, including a DCPP, where you get a choice of investments, falls under the CAP banner.
Which offers flexibility, and that's good. But it also introduces that complexity the sources talk about, the paradox of choice.
Exactly. When you give people too many options, they tend towards delayed decisions or a failure to make decisions. They feel overwhelmed. The responsibility is now entirely on them.
So what's the safety net for someone who just freezes up?
If you don't make a choice, your money goes into the plan's default option. For almost half of DCPPs, that default is a target date fund.
And that just gets more conservative over time, right?
Yes, it automatically shifts from stocks to bonds as you get closer to your target retirement date. It's an essential feature in making sure the money is at least invested.
That's a good transition. Not all group plans are formal pension plans that lock your money in. So let's talk about flexibility, because the costs and tax burdens are really different. First, the group RRSP or GRRSP.
The GRRSP is basically the same as your individual RRSP. Same contribution limits, same tax rules, just with lower fees because it's a group plan.
Both you and your employer can contribute, which is great. But here's the critical difference that employees often miss: the tax treatment of the employer's contribution.
This is a major insight. Employer contributions to a GRRSP are considered additional salary.
Wait, so it's taxable income to me in the year they contributed?
It is, yes. And for the sponsor, they have to pay payroll charges on it, things like EI and CPP premiums.
So the employer is paying tax on the benefit they're giving you. That seems like a massive hidden cost, especially for a company with high turnover.
It is, because those contributions vest immediately. They're your property right away. So if staff are leaving quickly, the company's paying extra salary and payroll taxes to short-term workers.
Can you walk us through that Reginald example again, just to make the contribution room part really clear?
Certainly. So Reginald earns $60,000. He and his employer both put in 5%, so $3,000 each. That's $6,000 total. That entire $6,000 contribution reduces his personal RRSP room. So if his limit for the year was, say, $10,800, he's only got $4,800 left for any personal contributions. You have to remember that employer portion is income, and it eats into your deduction room.
Right. So if the GRSP has that immediate payroll tax burden, the deferred profit sharing plan, the DPSP, must look a lot more appealing to an employer.
It absolutely is, and it serves a different purpose. A DPSP is funded by employer contributions only, and this is the key: those contributions must come from corporate profits.
So if the company has a bad year,
Contributions can be suspended. It links employee rewards directly to the company's success.
and the tax efficiency for the company is way better than the GRSP.
Oh, far better. Employer contributions are tax deductible for the business, but they are not a taxable benefit to you when they're made. This means the employer avoids all those extra payroll taxes. It's a very efficient way to reward staff.
It sounds perfect for a company that's growing fast, like the tech company in the sources, Mark's company.
Mark's company is the perfect case study. They had become, quote, enormously profitable. They realized the DCPP they had for attracting people wasn't as good for rewarding and retaining them as a DPSP would be.
It let them share the wealth directly.
Exactly. It let them channel that success right into employee savings, and they did it in a super tax-efficient way for the business.
And the employee gets more flexibility, too.
Yes. DPSPs can allow for partial withdrawals at any time, though the sponsor can restrict that while you're still employed. It gives people access to their share of the profits if they need it.
Okay, let's pivot to the ultimate champion of flexibility, the group tax-free savings account, the group TFSA.
The group TFSA has just exploded in popularity because its tax structure is so unique. No tax deduction on contributions, that's the trade-off, but there's no tax on the growth, and most importantly, zero tax on withdrawals.
It's truly tax-free.
Right.
And that lack of tax on withdrawal makes it so useful for savings you might need before you actually retire. The contributions aren't locked in, right?
Not locked in at all. That's the flexibility advantage. You can make tax-free withdrawals whenever you want for any reason.
What about the limits? If my employer offers a group TFSA, do I get extra contribution room?
No, the limit is universal. Your group TFSA and your personal TFSA share the exact same contribution limit. If you go over that total limit, you'll face penalties.
And we should repeat the creditor protection point here.
We must. The TFSA is the one exception to that creditor protection rule. Your TFSA savings are not protected.
So who's the perfect candidate for a group TFSA then?
High earners who have already maxed out their RSP room. Think of Darlene, the real estate firm owner. Her agents are high earners, all at the highest tax rates, and they've used up all their RSP room.
So contributing to an RRSP just isn't an option for them anymore.
Exactly. The group TFSA is an ideal solution. It has no maximum age for contributions, which is great for her older agents, and it's a super tax-efficient way for her to reward her long-standing employees.
She can reward them, cover the cost, and the money grows and comes out completely tax-free for the agents.
That's the power of it.
Okay, we've covered the four main pillars. Let's just briefly touch on the Pooled Registered Pension Plan, the PRPP.
The PRPP is a newer solution designed for people without employer plans or the self-employed. Its big advantages are low admin costs and portability.
Meaning the funds follow you from job to job.
Right, which is so important in the modern gig economy.
And the tax status of employer contributions.
Like a DCPP, employer contributions are not included in your immediate income. But the PRPP funds are generally locked in, like a traditional pension. There are only very limited exceptions to get cash out early.
Okay, finally, the exit strategy. After decades of saving, what happens when someone retires?
All those savings in your DCPP, GRRSP, and DPSP have to be transferred into an income-paying account to keep that tax-deferred status. And this has to happen by the end of the year you turn 71 at the latest.
That age limit is strict, so where does the money go?
For locked-in funds, like from a DCPP or PRPP, it typically goes into a group life income fund, a LIF. For the unlocked funds from a GRRSP or DPSP, they usually go into a group registered retirement income fund, a RRIF.
What's the practical difference between setting up a RRIF and just, taking all the cash out?
The RRIF is the tool that keeps the tax-deferred status going, but it comes with an obligation. You have to make minimum annual withdrawals, and those are fully taxable as income. If you just took the cash, the whole pile would be taxable in 1 year.
So the advice is to wait until you actually need the income.
Generally, yes. Set up the RRIF only when you need that retirement income, so you can better control your taxable income stream from year to year.
So what does this all mean? We've taken this deep dive across the whole spectrum. We've gone from the DBPP, where the sponsor bears all the risk and cost, to the flexible member-managed plans where you, the individual, bear the investment risk.
Understanding not just where the money goes, but where the risk lies. And those specific tax consequences, like the tax hit on a GRRSP versus the efficiency of a DPSP, is just so crucial for maximizing the benefit you get from your plan. It's a trade-off. Guaranteed security versus self-directed control.
And that brings us to our final question for you. Given the clear trend away from the certainty of defined benefit plans, the whole industry is betting on individual financial literacy. Does the greater control offered by these capital accumulation plans truly benefit the average person? Or does the complexity and that paradox of choice just increase the likelihood that they'll fall short of their retirement goals? Something to think about as you review your own plan documents.